Hi everyone, hope you're alright and I hope you enjoyed my last video, my last assembly about scuba diving. I had to finish quite quickly last time and there were a few things that I forgot to mention. So I thought that today I'd maybe just go over some of the things that we looked at last time, and I could try and remember to tell you about a few of the things that I missed out. And I've also got a book about the sea, a non-fiction book, and I thought I might share a couple of pages of that book with you as well. So, before we really get going, could you tell the person next to you or somebody in your group, or a parent in the room or an adult, can you remember any of the equipment or any of the things that I told you last time? There's a few hints and tips. I'm obviously not dressed up today, but I have got it here for you to look at. So you just take a moment to try and tell the person, you can press pause and tell somebody about any of the things that you can remember the name of. Okay. All right. Okay. So I bet, did any of you mention a mask and a snorkel? So here it is. We've got a mask and a snorkel, haven't we? We need that when we go diving so that we can look under the water. And maybe even if you go to the beach, you might just want to snorkel. So you don't need all the other equipment. You can just use a mask and a snorkel and you can go for a little swim and you can get some fins and you can just stay on top of the surface of the sea and look down and you can still see lots of lovely things underneath. What else might you have mentioned? So I'm sure you may have seen the big white tank here. Tanks come in different colours. This one just happens to be white. This one's quite a short, fat one. You can get thinner ones than that as well, and they can hold different amounts of air. So maybe if you're further up school, you might want to look at how many litres of air different tanks can hold and people can put on their back. And also, interestingly, just on air, people don't always dive just with air or oxygen. They sometimes dive with a gas called nitrox. So if you're further up school and you want a challenge, see if you can go and find out about nitrox. What else have we got? We've got our fins here. Yeah, we need our fins and our flippers for diving. We've got a wetsuit that I was wearing last time, but I'm not wearing today. Can anybody remember, where do you wear a wetsuit to go diving? So you have to wear it in like warmer waters. Around the UK and in the lakes in the UK or the quarries, you wouldn't really want to be in a wetsuit because you'd get cold very quickly. Got the big old dry suit here, and again you need the undersuit for the dry suit to keep you warm. That's upstairs, I've already packed it away. But yeah, we've got our dry suit here that we wear in the UK. We've got the weight belt, or I'm not sure if you can see it just by my knee. This is the big, it's very heavy, big weight belt with some weights on it. So remember, we can be buoyant. We've got a lot of air already in our lungs and in different places in our body. So to make sure that we're not buoyant and that we can sink under the water when we're scuba diving, we wear that weight belt. And different people have to wear different weights because obviously we're all different shapes and sizes. What else have I got? We've got the regs here. So, yeah, we had the regs, and on our regs, can you remember there was a few things attached to them? We had the regulator that you use, and then you've got the additional yellow long one on the long hose for your buddy, and this one's called the octopus, so that you can help anybody if they need it. And then you've also got the pressure gauge, which tells you how much air you've got in your tank. Just while I remember last time, I was going to tell you about a dive watch. So I've got a running watch on here, but if you're diving, you have a similar type of watch, and it's called a dive watch, and it will tell you different things like your depth, how long you've been under, and maybe how much oxygen you've got left, and it just helps you to stay safe, and so you know when you need to go back up to the surface. So quite often you wear a dive watch as well. And the other thing that we don't want to forget about is we've got the BCD here, the buoyancy control device, and I put this on last time, and it's got the hose here which we can inflate and deflate, and then we put air into this jacket, and again this air helps us to stay at a certain level, a certain buoyancy in the water, so that we can stay nice and flat and be quite streamlined to swim along. You don't want to be going through the water like you're stood up running. You want to have a nice flat swim position as you go through the water. Something I thought you might find quite interesting, which I forgot to mention last time, was on your buoyancy control device, on your BCD. Sometimes people have lots of different things hanging off them. And one of the things that I've got clipped to mine here, I think boys, you might be particularly interested in this. It's very small, but I'm not sure if you can see it. But this is let's see if I can get it off. This is a knife. So if you get into any problems when you're underwater, there might be a fishing line or a fishing net out or something, or you just get trapped, then you've got a knife with you so that you can quickly cut it off or release it. So that's just, again, to keep you safe. Something else you might take with you diving, especially if you do a night dive, so you don't always have to dive in the daytime. You can do an evening dive or a night dive and it's all dark, and at that point you'll see different creatures underwater coming out. And when you do a night dive, obviously it's quite dark underwater, so you'll need a torch. I wonder if you told the person next to you. Okay. But also when you're going diving, there's a few other things that you might not take with you on the dive, but that you have to help you get ready, and just so you can have a really good adventure. And something I've got here, I've got a couple of them. These are called logbooks. And in your logbook, you write all about your dive. So it's just like a little diary, and it just can remind you of where you've been, what you saw, but it also has some quite important information if you were going to do a second dive that day, because you need to be thinking about all the different gases in your body and making sure that you have enough time on the surface before you go back into the water. So you can put your start time of your dive, you can put how deep you went, because that's something you've really got to think about when you're going diving, and something called your bottom time, so that's how long you were under the water. And then it reminds you that when you're going back up to the surface, you always have to do a 3-minute safety stop at 5 metres. And then there's a little bit of comments where you can write maybe what you saw on that dive that was particularly interesting, or if something funny happened on that dive, and it tells you where you went and the date. So that's a logbook, and that's really useful just so you can keep track of all of the fun things that you've been doing. The other thing that I've got that I forgot to show you last time was, depending on where you go diving, you're going to see different types of fish and different creatures. So the animals and the sea creatures that live in UK waters are going to be quite different to the sea creatures you see in the Red Sea, or the creatures that you see in the coral reefs off Australia or in Thailand or somewhere hot. So in different locations and different habitats, you're going to have different creatures. And this one is just a fish guide that my little boy Hamish found quite interesting, because it shows you lots of bright, colourful fish that you might see if you were diving in the Red Sea. And I'll just show you a few. So here, this one here, where is it? This one here, that's called a blacktip reef shark. And I've seen a blacktip reef shark. And it's also got lots of different corals. And corals are a living creature as well. They're also breathing. They grow very, very slowly, and you'll find them in warm waters. You've got starfish, you've got turtles, you've got crabs, you've got an octopus. I've seen an octopus before out in the corals. We've got a Napoleon fish. I've seen one of those, and we've got a parrotfish as well. So there's lots of cool, really interesting creatures that you can see. And also it's good to know a little bit about the creatures that you might see or come across, because you want to know whether or not they're safe. So obviously if they're sea snakes, you need to know that they can be poisonous, so you want to look at a sea snake, but you don't want to go anywhere near it and touch it. And the same with things like pufferfish or stonefish. They're beautiful and lovely, but we don't want to touch them, and actually we shouldn't be touching any of the fish anyway. So that was just a little bit more about some of the things that you need if you're going for a dive. We've got the globe here. Can anyone just quickly tell somebody in their group somewhere where you might be able to dive? So actually you could pretty much dive anywhere there's water. You just need to have the right type of equipment. So you could go ice diving, you could go diving in the Arctic or the Antarctic. It would be really, really cold, so you would need to make sure that you've definitely got the right equipment and the right support so that it's safe. I've also got a couple of books here to do with the sea that I thought you might be interested in. So you've got The Snail in the Whale, which maybe you can find at home or find in school, and you can have a read of that. There's another book here that maybe another time I might read to you, and it's called The Bear Report. So that's got Greta Thunberg in, who you may have heard of. If not, maybe you could Google her or find out a bit about her. And then this one is The Sea Book, and this is a non-fiction book that Hamish has got, and I thought I might just share a couple of pages of this book with you. So, dive into a watery world. I'll come a bit closer and then you might be able to see some of the pictures. So, the sea covers almost 3/4 of the Earth's surface. This immense body of water is home to an enormous variety of creatures and is important to all life on land too. But the sea and its inhabitants are being damaged. This is not only sad, it is also a problem that affects the whole planet. Let's explore the sea and find out why it's so important. I'm going to skip a couple of pages. I'm just going to choose a few to show you. So, we've got our blue planet. We've got a picture of planet Earth here. We've got the North Pole, the South Pole. The green is the land, and then the blue is the sea. Okay, and then we've got space all around us with the moon in our outer orbit. If we look at the planet Earth from far away in outer space, it looks very blue. And that's, again, if you see my globe behind, my globe's not got the same colours, but again, you can see that really light beige, that's lots of sea. So we definitely have lots of sea on our planet. Lots of water. This is because our planet is mostly covered in water. It is all this water that gives life to everything on Earth. So that's why water is really, really important. And it's important that we look after our sea. The sea is divided into 5 large areas called oceans. These are, does anyone know? The Arctic, the Atlantic, the Indian, the Pacific, and the Southern Oceans. So see if you can find those on a map or a globe, if you've got one. The sea is planet Earth's biggest habitat. Can anyone remember, what does that word habitat mean? Where things and creatures live. And it is a home to many living things like marine life. Marine life describes all the animals and plants that live in the sea. Marine plants make their own food by using energy from the sunlight, and marine animals eat plants and other animals. Even where you cannot see it, there is life in the sea. Just one drop of seawater contains thousands of tiny floating plants, animals, and other microscopic creatures called plankton. Plankton are so small you need a microscope to see them. And here, in this picture, that's just pretending to be a drop of water and show us lots of different types of plankton. And fish eat plankton too. Plankton might be tiny, but it's very important because it's the base of every food chain in the ocean and that we're part of. Lots of marine animals eat plankton, so we've got a food chain here. It starts with the plankton. We've got other bigger animals that eat plankton, and they're plankton-eating animals. And then we've got another fish, and then we've got a shark. So that's our food chain there, showing why plankton's really important. Animals that eat other animals are called predators, and the animals that predators eat are called prey. The shark is the top predator in this food chain here that we've just looked at. Okay. I'm going to skip that page and I'm going to quickly just tell you about another page. Where is it? It's about a particular habitat. So, this is Coral Reef City. And so this is where you might go diving to see lots of cool different types of fish and corals. Coral Reef City. Coral can be found in the tropics where the seawater is warm, clear and shallow. Like buildings in an underwater city, coral provides homes for thousands of marine animals. Coral reefs are bursting with so much life that scientists are discovering new species of animals there all the time. So what is coral? Well, while it might look like a plant, coral is actually made up of lots of tiny animals called polyps. Polyps look like tiny anemones. Many of them live close together and make each larger rocky coral structure. So they're these tiny animals and they all build together to build these coral structures, these coral cities. Here's a parrotfish. I've seen a parrotfish. Some parrotfish feed on coral. They have strong joined teeth like a bird's beak. Parrotfish use this beak to grind up the hard, rocky coral. We've got a turtle here. We've also got an angelfish. Angelfish have flat bodies for hiding in the narrowest of gaps. We've got the butterfly fish, these little yellow ones down here. They spend their days nibbling at coral and searching for a partner who they will stay with for life. That's pretty impressive. And then over here at the night time, so remember I talked about you could go for a dive at night time as well and you'll see different things. So the night shift, like a game of hide and seek, daytime colourful fish hide in the coral at night where they can sleep without being seen. Hungry reef sharks and other nighttime predators are the seekers. They come out at night to look for food. White-tipped reef sharks eat fish, octopus and crab. They have slender bodies to wriggle into narrow spaces and grab prey. At night, parrotfish create slimy cocoons that they sleep in. This might help stop predators from smelling and finding them. See if you can find out any more information about what type of fish and creatures live in the sea. And I'd love to hear all about it. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye for now. Bye.